Okay, here we go. We're live. So I'm not sure how long it's gonna be, but we'll just go with it.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, as you already know, by this time, at this point in time of the series, I'll be the first video of my series while I'm here will be posted. So here's episode 2, and this is a special episode. Instead of me being out on the field, here I am with thank you, with Binyamin, our good friend himself from the objective personality community. And yeah, without further ado, I'll just have him introduce himself. So,
I'll introduce myself. All right.
yeah,
I'm a nobody. That's what I am. Yeah. I got a YouTube channel, and because of that, I guess I'm important. That's what happens.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
that's how media works. So.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Benjamin's a real like prominent figure in the personality community. It's a psychology study for the cognitive mind, and Benjamin's really good at what he does.
Oh,
And the reason why I wanted to, of course, I could go around and grab anybody off the streets and interview them. But what's cool about Benjamin is he's smart and he's just not a crazy nobody. He actually
all
knows what
right.
he's talking about.
I'll take it.
So yeah,
Thank you.
so where do we even get started? It's trying times now.
Yeah. Trying times. Yeah.
Um,
How how is how is everyone dealing with things back home? I'm just wondering.
so for the most part, it's it's just like another day, like
Yeah.
But for those that are watching from overseas, it's like where most Native Americans are wanting to stop the United States from funding Israel,
Right.
and they're so yeah,
So you guys are kind of in the same boat, right?
yeah,
Wanting to stop the U.S. from funding. Yeah.
yeah. So of course, there's a few here and there, different sides, and everything's going on,
Yeah.
but yeah, for the most part,
I mean,
that's
even if you want to stay away from the morality and of all of that stuff, you got to do what's best for your country, right?
yeah,
And yeah, if like you guys are suffering and the financial stuff is hard over there, then there's no reason why you should fund. But other than that, if you want to like put the brakes and stop, like hinder hinder Israel, yeah, that's a different matter.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
that would be more more serious, but yeah.
So like I can understand people wanting to stop the funding for sure, and but I wonder if there's more to it than that.
Yeah, yeah, I don't there's for now there's not yeah, it's kind of like the main thing is really from
Is there a
around the world,
consensus with you guys? Are you seeing it?
um like negotiating with the government to no there's
Or an opinion on this matter? Because like it's weird that people would be so interested in something so far away, other than the fact that you guys are spending money on it.
yeah,
Yeah,
so really there's not a collective how you say it, there's not a collective,
consensus.
yeah, on the standpoint for our views on what's happening.
Right.
And that's kind of how the tribes are for everything really. We don't have much of a standpoint in anything. We just operate low key,
Yeah.
and yeah.
What about your
So
leaders? Are they getting involved or no?
nope. Yeah, another key point why I'm here. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, there's really not much going on there. So yeah, um,
So what are you looking to uncover here?
um, everything. This is gonna be more like an archive to what's going on, and then we'll move forward from there. But yeah.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, so what I did was yesterday or last night, my brother sent like two of your recent YouTube videos talking about like the Jewish prophecies and
Oh, okay.
kind of like
Yeah.
and like kind of like how that plays how the role it plays and what's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, would you like expand on that or tell them what's going on or
Well, okay. History is a very, very long process. Very
yeah.
long process, especially um, if you look at ancient peoples. Um, so it was always known that we were going to come back to our land. I don't know about you guys. Do you guys have like a prophecy that you guys will get your land back, or what's going to happen there? Because you're not
Actually,
exactly exiled; you're still in your land, right?
yeah. So for that one, it was really interesting, especially relating it to what you were talking about. Is that for ours, it's more on the Plains natives. I don't know
Right.
which tribe it originated from, but it talks about this seventh generation prophecy and pretty much how that's the generation of people that will make the greatest change moving forward.
And which generation was that already, or is it
It's right now.
right now? Interesting. Okay,
So those are between the age of like 15-ish right now to 30
so that's you.
ish.
You're the
Yeah.
seventh generation. You're the special guy.
Especially, no.
Yeah, nice.
No. We'll see.
Yeah,
But
so it was always like it's Jews were always here.
mhm.
There was always a presence here, but there was never a government here. There was never any government here other than a Jewish government. There was never another nation here, another state here. Like what's different in the U.S. is there is a government there. There is another national entity there that's claiming sovereignty, right?
Mhm.
But here there was never that. So it was always just a barren place with no national government or sovereignty here, um, other than the ancient Jewish one. And we always knew we were going to come back here and reestablish it, right? A lot of people would have thought we were crazy if you went, yeah, yeah, even just 100 years ago when you started saying, "Oh yeah, Israel's gonna be a nation again," people would have thought you were crazy. Um,
Hmm.
but here it is, and you see outside, there's very well developed.
Yeah, flourishing city
Yeah,
from what I see. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, Tel Aviv is. It's not characteristic of Israel. It's a like a metropolis city sort of thing. It's characteristic of probably what you would see in the U.S. a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know how deep and how intricate you want me to go into things, but there's a lot of parts to this prophecy, a lot of prophecies that all point to what's going to happen when we return. Um, I mean, you pick up the Bible, half of it is probably about that subject,
Hmm.
talking about the land flourishing again and the fruits returning when the people come back, which is one thing I saw. Not particularly your tribe, but I saw other natives talking about that. How you guys feel a connection to your land and how the land responds to you. How it's like a symbiotic relationship with your land. And so a
Hmm.
lot of the prophecy talks about that, how there's a symbiotic relationship. And when a people comes back to its land, the land comes back to life again. Um, there's right now what you're seeing in the conflicts is also completely prophesized. And,
Hmm.
it's kind of woo, right? Like it doesn't make sense that all of this
Yeah.
would match up, right? But if you look at the prophecies, it's not necessarily talking about something unexpected. It's talking about cycles that repeat. And the idea is that all of the um, old nations, I'll give you a quote if you want. All of the old nations are going to come back and attack Israel and try to all of the ones that previously attacked Israel. And I guess you can learn from this just in your basic daily life is if you don't solve a problem, it'll just keep coming back until you've solved it. And so the old nations that were plaguing us and attacking us, it's this meta problem that was never solved. And so this time when they come back, it's supposed to be solved. It's not going to happen again. Um, and so, yeah, funny enough, the order in which and the places, the locations in which all of the attacking nations are coming from is exactly the same as the historic order of nations that attacked us. And so, like in Gaza, for example, the Philistines were a plague on Israel for a long time, and it's very similar. Like the people there are very similar. And then the Asurim from the north were also plaguing us, and we see that as well now with Hezbollah.
Hmm.
And the order was, first of all, we came out of Egypt, so Egypt was the first problem. And then when the state of Israel was established, the first nation to come and attack us with all the other nations was Egypt, Nasser. And then afterwards, the next nation that came and attacked us was Babylon. and then you see Saddam Hussein actually launch missiles into Israel, and it was weird back when you probably weren't conscious or even alive when that happened, but he was claiming to be a reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar, Saddam Hussein, which is really weird. He was born in the same city, all that kind of stuff. So it fits. It's interesting that it all fits. And then so back then I was like, oh, so the next one's going to be Iran, and everyone's like, nah, Iran doesn't make any sense. And then sure enough, here's Iran is the next one.
Interesting.
And so, this one for me, this has already happened. It's gonna happen. It's gonna end. Iran's gonna be gone. We're gonna solve it. And then the next one after this is supposed to be Greece, which, like, I don't know. It doesn't look like Greece has anything to be involved today. But who knows?
Sense.
Right? Doesn't make any sense today. But who knows? So that's kind of like the big picture of, from a religious standpoint, how we're seeing it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting, and like, yeah, that was cool. All you said, it's like, especially on the YouTube video, where you broke it all down.
Right.
And yeah, I'll link Binyamin's YouTube in the description and all that. So definitely go check it out. So yeah, that's really cool from a religious point, from everything.
Yeah.
Well, not cool, but yeah, thorough. So what about from a more like political standpoint? What's kind of like daily life living here and people?
Yeah, it's interesting because if you go to Europe, for example, you have very old cultures there, and you can see the cultures. The cultures are entrenched there. They're alive. They've been evolving, and they have a history. And every people there has a flavor to them, right? And I'm sure you see that as well in your own tribe, that you have a history and you have traditions and you have some kind of flavor to you, right?
Yeah.
And you see, like in the US, they're a very young nation, and they're like, you could go back to England, but they sort of start counting from when their nation was declared independent. And so their culture is a younger culture. It's less historic, less rooted in history. And there's really an identity problem that you can see in the US now going on. Like they don't really know who they are. And so you can see the same thing here, because on the one hand, we're a very, very old nation, and on the other hand, we're a very, very new nation. And it's interesting seeing the old culture and then the new culture trying to sort of find its own identity. And the idea of resurrecting a people is to find our identity again, let our identity match the nation again. And over 2,000 years, we've had to become a religion and not a nation. And so now we're in the process of finding our nationhood and our identity again.
I see. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's probably already a quote, but I was kind of thinking, I was like, dang, that's a fire quote when I think about it. It's that empires fall or nations fall, but religions live forever. And kind of seeing how that implements to everything in the world. It's like, here things are really starting to pick up, and it's really like, it's different. Well, of course, everywhere's different, but it's really interesting to see.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you feel like you guys have lost your identity in some way?
Yeah. 100%. And that's one of the interesting things is for my tribe in particular, I'll speak. So we're split in two.
Can you just remind me the name of your tribe?
Southern Cheyenne, from Oklahoma, from the Cheyenne Arapaho tribes.
Okay.
So I'm Southern Cheyenne, but the way we're organized in the reservation is with the Arapaho, Southern Arapaho. So yeah, we're together. So
you're together, yeah. And I mean, I'm sure you guys have way more in common than you have differences.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure.
And so your identity is similar to some degree.
Yeah, and your national for the most identity. Part, that's how it is amongst all over the states. Is we're all pretty similar.
Right, you feel united with all the other First Nations, even though you have a different culture, minor.
Yeah, even if there's bigger or smaller cultural differences, we're all pretty much on the same side. Everybody it's pretty mutual with each other. So yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
So yeah, I'm Southern Cheyenne, but we have our Northern Cheyenne tribe up in Montana, or where we're closer to our homelands originally were.
Right.
So, but what's interesting is after the Indian Wars, we got put on a reservation in Oklahoma, but there was a group of people who didn't like it there, and so they left and went back north, and that's the Northern tribe. And the way history played out over a century and a half is that the Northern tribe preserved our culture and language and everything,
Wow.
and they do it much more thoroughly, and they speak your language,
So they're more
yeah,
in connection with your identity.
10 times more.
Right.
I don't even speak my language,
Right.
sadly, but up there they're pretty fluent,
Right. Have
and
you made a pilgrimage to them a little bit and visited them?
not yet.
Not yet.
So
Well, you should. Yeah.
yeah, I need to. Here I am over here first before I go there.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no, that's how it works.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
makes
I
sense.
have to go over
Yeah.
there. So yeah, so yes, for sorry, I forgot the original question, but yeah,
Your identity, like, do you feel like you've lost touch with your identity and need to
yes,
reconnect to it? Yeah.
100%. So but yeah, so that's
And your
kind of what we're
generation, the
doing.
seventh generation too, as well. All
100%.
you guys need to return. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing is really rebuilding ourselves more thoroughly now. Because before nobody's known what they're doing. There's tribal embezzlements, drama, this
Yeah.
family, that family. But it's like nowadays we're finally picking up the pieces, moving
Right.
forward.
Yeah. Do you guys
So
have
yeah,
a legal system or something like that for your
yeah.
internal conflicts?
Now we do.
Good. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
very big step. That's
Mm.
huge.
So yeah, we're moving forward with that and infrastructure. Um, yeah, you name it.
Because, like, you're talking about a little bit of crime stuff going on, and if you have a good legal system that you guys
Mhm.
can all go to and respect, then that's important.
Yeah. So for the most part, our tribe is pretty calm, calmer than most. But it's others that are like really in poverty, or it's like there's bad things happening all around.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
Arizona and New Mexico in particular are pretty hefty areas. So yeah, it's a lot going on there. Um, yeah.
How do you see picking up the pieces and finding unity in your identity?
Um, right now we're kind of doing it along as we move forward.
Yeah.
Um, for the most part, I think level, like I say, we're in recent years we're finally getting to move forward, starting to move forward, and most of the
Right.
talking is coming from people like around my age now. So it's like older and younger. So
Right.
um, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, just looking at our history, it's a struggle to hold on to your identity.
Mm.
But you do have a separation, which is important. You need to maintain that separation if you want to keep your cultural identity. You need some kind of boundary. And we see this today. A lot of the boundaries are being degraded. Like the EU is sort of opening up all of Europe. And that's really just the death of the nations there. If they're just not going to have boundaries and going to let anyone in, it's their culture is going to, yeah, over
Mm-hmm.
time. One of the things that's very important is keeping your own language um, and your own names. So, do you have a name in, like, a tribal name or a cultural name, or you have an American name?
Not yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, my dad's Mexican, so
Okay.
I'm half Cheyenne and
That's
Mexican.
okay.
So I have a
Yeah.
Spanish name.
You have
So
a Spanish name. Okay.
it's yeah.
Yeah. So there's. I'm trying to think what the three are. The names and some kind of cultural tradition, some kind of rites of passage. I'm sure you have rites of passage. You have to have some.
Hmm.
Maybe you didn't go through them, but
Um, I think nowadays we're more civilized in doing it in our culture, but they exist
right.
for sure.
Like usually, so for us, we have one at 13, right? So usually there's one around that age, rite of passage. Do you know if you have one?
As you that goes with the age.
Yeah.
Um, no, but for us, we have our like war societies. Um, so what you do is for the guys is they'll go into their for society that they're in, and
Right.
they'll train and do their rite of passage for
There you go.
their
Yeah.
religion.
So you never went through that?
Nope.
Are you planning on doing it?
I
Can you
hope
still do
so.
it?
Yes. So to message to the medicine men and those of you there, there's willing youth out here that are willing to do it. So and ready. So
Yeah.
I'll see you when I'm home.
Good. Yeah. Do that.
For sure.
That's
Yeah.
good.
So, but what I do is I'm a grass dancer,
Nice.
which is powwow. So we have our four main ceremonies, four, which we'll talk about in OPS. A lot of fours, four societies, four cultures. We have a sweat lodge, peyote meetings or NAC, powwow, and Sundance.
Okay.
So what I mainly do is I did sweat lodge once. Now I do you can do it anywhere really. And then what I do is our Sundance and powwow. The grass dance is a powwow dance.
Yeah. And how does that make you
And-
feel to connect to sort of traditions like that?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a part of you is who you are. A part of who you are is like, of course, who you are in your life, the decisions you make, but it's also where you come from, your roots, for sure.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know who I'd be without it. So yeah,
It's good. Yeah.
and so yeah, our Sundance, for that tradition in particular ceremony, is we go out and they fast. Usually it's for 4 days, 4 nights. But for our tribe in the South, we do 2 days, 2 nights, I think.
So you fasted
No,
for
not
2 days?
nope.
No. Are
So
you scared?
I help out. Nope. When I'm
You'll do it?
I'm doing it.
Oh, nice. Good.
When I'm old enough and I get more weight on me. So I'm rather skinny. So yeah.
You could do it still. It's
Yeah.
still physically it's not physically that hard, but it's mentally hard for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I've done is I just helped out. They're called runners who help out the people that are in sundancing.
Right.
So help them out and help out in camp. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. There's a big difference that you'll see in assimilating cultures who try to spread their influence and dominate other cultures and assimilate them, and cultures that respect other cultures. And Jewish people have always been not a dominating culture, a culture that sort of appreciates the other cultures and the importance of them. And so you'll see that that's part of my identity, and that's why I'm also asking you these questions, because I want you to know who you are. I don't want you to be me or to join my culture. I want you to have your culture, and because like that's the only way we can come to a table and be equals and have real discussions and that kind of stuff. Otherwise we're just lost. We're all just lost. We have no ground. And yeah, everyone needs that. Everyone needs a ground. Everyone needs a culture to call their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was going to ask. From a standpoint, the way Israel has come about, like how do you rebuild a nation and who you are? It's a long process, but how?
Right.
It seems like Israel has been pretty successful
Right.
in recent years. So how did you say that happened?
So we've always talked about the difference between the body and the spirit. There's a prophecy about the dry bones coming together. And that's kind of where we're at right now. We're just a bunch of dry bones all together. We're a skeleton. We don't have the flesh. We don't have the spirit. And that's a different process. So it's two processes. And so you see, if you look around Israel, the physical is here. We're a physical nation. We have an army. We can defend ourselves, right? We're not like you guys don't have an army. You can't defend yourselves if someone comes to attack you, right? And that's an important part of rebuilding the physical side of a nation is you don't have to use the army, but it has to be there because there's always a threat of war, always a threat of attack. You have to be able to defend yourself. And we've got a currency, we have the language, we have all that stuff. But then the spiritual side, you'll see, isn't here, where there's a division. Like we still see ourselves as kind of like a religion, which we're not. We were never supposed to be a religion. We're always supposed to just be a nation. And so restoring the nation from the religion, it's hard. It's like you tie your hand behind your back and you forget that you have that hand. You don't know how to use it. And so that's kind of the process that you'll be seeing now. And, looking at the external pressures, I'm not afraid of Iran. I'm not afraid of Palestinians or any of that, because I see them as a important pressure on us to force us to figure out who we are. Why are we fighting? Why are we even here? Right? That's the question. Everyone else is questioning our existence, and we have to question our own existence. We have to figure out why are we here, and that's part of finding your identity and your soul. And I think you guys probably have to go through the same process.
I see. So kind of so like the process of or how would you say it? Like the process of
Of getting back in touch with the soul of your nation.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's hard without external pressures because the you can just assimilate. You can just go and join a city, be an American. It's very easy.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if they don't let you join them and they're racist towards you and they're persecuting you, well, that's an external pressure that keeps you together. And
Yeah.
we've had that throughout all history. Every time we got comfortable anywhere in any country, we had that aggression against us. It was like a direct result. And
Mm.
we can sit here and cry about all of the anti-Semitism and all of the bad stuff that happened to us, but at the end of the day, that's the pressure that kept us together, because so many times in history we almost got assimilated in every little city that we were in. And so yeah, the fact that we were seen as the other has always helped us.
I see. Okay. I will clip that and relay the message straight to the government. But yeah, yeah, it's definitely been most of the tribes have been struggling. Some are like decent, they're alive, they're going like mine.
Right.
And there's those that aren't well, and then there's those that are really standing out. Like they have like malls there, entire neighborhoods for the people, and money like nobody's seen before.
Nice.
So it's like kind of each tribe's taking its own path. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really
And I
interesting to
think there's
see.
also a very big difference between a dead culture. Like, okay, you have a history, you have a lot of songs. I don't know, do you know all of your old songs? And
Yeah.
right, and you sing them in the language.
Hmm.
Right. So you have that, you have like a dead history, but then there's also a living history where you can contribute. You can make new songs in your language. You can make new art. You can push the tribe forward, which is one day going to be history.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's kind of like one of the interesting things being like native is making new history. Is that it's like it doesn't happen anymore, of course, because our main focus is remembering the old.
Right.
If anything, what our new history is integrating modern life, modern art with our culture. Like we have fashion shows,
Mm-hmm.
music, like modern music, um, integrated with our language or maybe not our language, but it's like modern media and culture um, mixed with our traditions and ceremonies.
Yeah.
So it's taking a path of its own for sure. It's not like ceremony or anything, but
And
yeah,
and
it's
I'm sure
something.
you'll see as well, like a huge part of who you are is connected to the land itself. And it's like, can you imagine not having that land?
Hmm.
That's it's like, how can you preserve yourself without a land? It's like, it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. And so kind of that's what our struggle is here now is, I don't know how we made it this far, 2000 years without a land. No idea. But we're here now, we have our land and we have to reconnect to it, which is also a process because, I mean, do you feel like you've lost a connection to your land, or it's always just been there? It's been something that's kept you who you are.
Um, Maybe a bit of both. Most, and also it also kind of depends on some who you are, because I know most. So there's some natives who aren't um, integrated or connected with their culture, and then they come back to it. Like a lot of friends I know that and then they learn it, and then they're home.
They're home,
And then
yeah.
there's those that have grown up straight from the res. Yeah, and they're doing good, and
Yeah.
they've grown around it. So
But
yeah,
what
there's
about
like
like the
both.
direct connection to the land itself?
Um, I would say no,
No.
um, because we're yeah we're there. It's like a bit of both. We're there, but we're still like displaced. So
Oh, you are in exile then. You're
um,
the Southern Cheyenne are in exile?
not in exile. Well, actually, yeah. To put away the if you're to put away and not use legal terms or anything, yeah, because our original home is up north.
Right.
that's where we come from. But now we have a new home. So, but now of course we can go back,
You can go
and
back. Yeah.
it's not like nobody's keeping us,
Right.
and you can buy land or whatever. But yeah,
And do you think it would be like a difficult process for you to establish some form of independence?
no, I think it's just a matter of how the way it has been. It's just a matter of what we're willing to do to get there. Because right
Right.
now there's not much work has been
Right.
done. We're just now starting. So yeah,
So yeah, so like if you were to look at the conflict here with the Palestinian people, right? Um, the narrative is all completely shot. It's like it's a bad narrative, but they do have a national consciousness, if you want to put it that way, and they do. I wish they wanted independence for real. Um, I don't know what their identity is, what their core identity is. I don't know what their core history is because I don't know all of what they're taught about their history and their identity is all to do with us, all to do with Israel, all to do with being a victim. Right? There's
yeah,
it's like you guys talk defining yourself by what America is. Like that's not, or like America took it from us and we're just a victim. That's not your culture. That's not who you are. That's just a contrast. That's just a rivalry, right?
yeah,
And like if the Palestinian people really wanted independence, they need to connect to some form of identity outside of us, outside of Israel. They need to connect to the land and their identity in and of itself. Um, yeah, I mean, so I was here 15 years ago when the government decided to give Gaza to the Palestinians, and I actually protested it because I knew it would end up like this. Like I knew this is what was going to happen, and they don't talk about it today. But the day after rockets were shot into Israel. The day after Israel was like all of the Jews were removed from there, rockets were shot into Israel. And I was like, are they nuts? Why aren't they going back in? Like this is just going to get worse. And it did. It got worse. Um, but yeah, it's all part of the process. It's all part of um, it's all part of this this redemption process, returning to who we are. But like if they chose to define themselves outside of their mission to destroy Israel, they could have been a people like they were given, like you never had that opportunity. Can you imagine if the US said, hey, take this land, this is yours, we'll give you electricity, we'll give you water, we'll supply you with everything. Like can you imagine the world came together and started giving you concrete to build things, um, money, UN organizations coming in to help you out? Like can you imagine how much of a boost that would be to your people? Like you would be able to just thrive because you have an identity that you can connect to and you have this national consciousness that you can revive, whereas they took it in a completely wrong direction. And it's sad for me, it is, because like I did protest it, but I hoped I was wrong. Like I hoped that they would be able to establish some kind of
yeah,
identity outside of our destruction. Yeah.
hmm. Yeah. It goes way deep. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I'll jump around here, and I guess we can talk about OPS.
Sure.
Um, yeah. Oh, by the way, do you have a good read on my personality type so far before
I would say you're not probably not a planner.
I? Yeah.
Yeah.
um, yeah.
And you probably feminine DE.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, like I said before, actually, my brother's been in the community longer, like since like 7 years.
Right.
But we got really got into it 4 years together. So since 2020 during the pandemic.
Right.
So yeah, really for the most part, it's mostly like sorry, were you gonna say something? I don't
No,
know.
I look well. Yeah, just thinking about your brother too. He does seem more interested than most people in your tribe, but less than you. Like you're more interested in finding that identity, and I think he's going to come along though. Like
Yeah,
he is in a little bit of an identity crisis from what I saw, and I think he is looking for what you're looking for too. Yeah,
yeah,
it's good you're able to bond like that and also be an OPS together. Like that's cool.
yes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're doing. I like to use like the Jedi as an analogy. He's there's like the blue and green lightsaber people. The Jedi, like the green ones, are more like in touch with the Force, and the blue ones are more of like combatant,
Okay.
and so like they're more in the physical. These ones are in the spiritual. So
Right.
I take the role of being more like the blue lightsaber Jedi, and he's more of a green lightsaber.
Yeah.
He's more in the mental game. He's a lot more in OPS. So he's what he does is more like with psychology and everything else, and for me, it's more like their culture and international affairs and being there, the front lines.
Hmm.
So yeah, but about OPS, there's a lot of like theories and stuff we've been coming up with because I'd rather wait to. I'll save some of it for when the three of us can be together or somebody else work.
Yeah.
But for the most part, what we've been seeing, since we're talking more like a cultural standpoint in woo-woo land, we can like the elements and how they play a part
Right.
in like in reality or like in people. Like we see how like with our tribe, it's called the Four Directions, but
Four
more
directions.
east, it's the
Do you
Four
guys have any
Elements.
literature or books written about your culture?
No, we don't write. Right? Well, now we're starting to, but yeah, we don't write or anything. So yeah,
So that was a problem as well during our exile. Is we had a very oral tradition, which passed on from generation to generation.
mhm.
Um, and it sounds like that's kind of what's going on with you guys. You have more of an oral tradition where you're passing on from generation to generation. But then we were seeing that it was degrading over time, and we were forbidden from writing it down. But because of the circumstances, we were forced to write it down. So I don't know if there's something going on similar to that.
I see. No, now we have right now we're just like affairs and everything in relations with the U.S. government. It's good.
Yeah,
It's just we're kind of like set on our own now. We're good. We have everything. For the most part, most tribes have casinos to do their money, and
yeah.
um, yeah,
But I mean
it's
about
what's
the,
up to
like the
us.
writing and the like writing down your four direction stuff that you were talking about. Where's that from?
Oh,
Like you heard it from the ether?
yeah, yeah. Pretty much, it's just been
Yeah,
passed down.
it's just been passed down, right?
Of, so now the way we keep track of what we're doing is oral history mainly,
Oral history.
and of course, now we've started to write down what we
Yeah.
through
I mean, you
history
don't even have
books.
to write it down anymore. You got videos.
Yeah, videos, history books,
Yeah.
anthropologists. Yeah, so and it's not just us keeping track of who we are. Of course, there's also everybody around us looking in. So yeah,
Cool.
um,
So you're talking about the four directions in OPS.
yeah. So for that, in particular, we see how it's almost like a modality, but it's not. It's like how people move or interact with their and every day, but it seems to play out not just in the core four elements: fire, water, earth, air, but it seems like there's more. There's like 100 more at least. I don't even know different avenues you can go through it. I see like every week or so there's like a graph on the personality community in the Facebook group of somebody trying to relate it to personality, but yeah, it's like some people may have for example, the way I've come to define it is people who are air is like people who come and mostly talk about like religion or philosophy, and then like they back up what they're talking about through philosophy. Like their data comes straight from there, no matter what their type is. And those who come from, and then those who are like more hard headed and go straight to the facts, and they back up with the saying through the facts is like more earth. And
Mm-hmm.
also the way they move, they might be more like hard and like hard
So you're
going.
thinking that's like the masculine sensory versus the feminine sensory?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how it seems to be playing out with like earth people being more grounded
Right.
and air people being more well, I guess woo land, if you want to say
Mm-hmm.
it like that. And then there's the fire and water duality where yeah, there's fire people are more, of course, aggressive and fast, while water is more chill. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so and it seems to be going on. The reason why we have that going on is because there seems to be a lot more to the OPS code than what there is. Because there's people with exact personality types, which will do the same thing every 10 seconds, of course, but there's also differences in who they are, um, whether they have similar upbringings or not. So yeah, kind of where do you see the missing code in OPS is like yeah, because maybe we have the whole code and I'm just tripping, but
Oh,
yeah,
the missing code.
yeah, because I'm sure there's more. There's more to it. Of course, it's still being researched, but yeah,
Yeah. I mean, so right now, whatever OPS is what OPS is. And whatever missing code there is outside of OPS.
mm,
I like to look at it that way. Um, and then eventually, I would think that there's a more broad framework that would encompass also OPS and the missing code together. So, I mean, OPS could claim that ground. Like if they discover it, like the social coins, they could claim that ground. Okay, this is now part of OPS. But I think like human psychology, yeah, trying to integrate it all together is an interesting idea. Because right now there's a big separation. I mean, you've got the functions and the animals, and they all work with the functions, and this is all
yeah, yeah. They're all
Jungian stuff.
connected.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then the social types don't really seem to connect to the Jungian thing. So that's something outside of the Jungian idea.
mm.
So are you thinking that these four elements connect to already existing code, or it's another layer on top of it?
I say it's like another layer of just like how the social types is a different layer. I say it's like
Different
a
layer.
different
Yeah.
layer. Yeah, I guess you can say in a context of width being within the same plane,
Right.
and then
So
layers being depth.
I
Yeah,
mean, OPS is great at seeing ideas and stealing ideas and incorporating it into their own framework.
yeah,
So, but it sounds like you could just do a straight typology based on what you're seeing and type people based on that. And then if you connect that with the code, you'll see
yeah,
a higher resolution of dividing people into types.
yeah. For sure, it's definitely how
Yeah.
that's playing out. I guess it's like similar like other personality um, platforms and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, for the most part, yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. But yeah, it's oh, okay, that's what I was gonna say. So my brother, he's really heading the research. So um,
Cool.
in his part, we're seeing how, or what he's doing is from a neuroscience standpoint, how OPS connects to the brain directly and like objectively and literally and all, and always. How does it, right?
Hmm.
Because of
He's
course
trying to
there's a
ground OPS in the
yeah,
brain. Yeah.
yeah, because it's facts. It's just you need to make it more factual and
Right. So
more
he's more Earth.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's did he tell you his personality type?
He told me he
What
was
is
guessing he was probably an ESFP.
yes, if he, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Or he said ESTP. Yeah.
Oh, ESTP. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, he's over there doing that live right now. And um yeah.
He also said probably a lot of the people in your tribe are all ESTPs then, or
Um
SEDOMs. Yeah.
yes, so that's the thing is certain types correlating with people like with yeah.
Right.
I even see that with different tribes in different areas and even in different states. I
Yeah.
think Dave or Shan talked about it briefly um, about, or they mentioned it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's easy to form patterns. Like you
yeah,
see two people stand out in India as being like NITIs, and you're like, oh, this whole region is NITIs. Maybe could be right,
yeah,
but like,
yeah.
yeah,
So do you see that same thing or different areas, different
it's hard to look at the
types?
sample bias, right?
Yeah,
Because you have a sample bias, you have like the people you're exposed to, but then you don't know if that's representative of the total population.
mm. And
Yeah.
that's kind of one of the thing is maybe I'm I don't want to spoil my personality type, but it's
Or what you think it is, yeah.
yeah, it's but what I see is what yeah, um I'm kind of giving away my personality type by my actions because I don't know. um but yeah, so what's going on is
I'm just going to
Sorry, just one
silence my phone
second.
because it's going to sort of disturb the stream.
Yeah, at least we'll take a little break while I gather my
Yeah.
thoughts. So,
Are you going to edit this together?
Mhm.
We can also walk around outside if you want. It's better.
Yeah,
Have a conversation. But you'd have to hold your phone.
that
It's
is
kind of
true.
dumb.
Get some air.
Silence.
Yeah, actually, let's do that. That's actually a good idea. Yeah, get some.
What kind of other
Um,
stuff did you want to talk about?
so we left off of what was it?
Because, like, I imagine you have a lot of questions about what's going on here. Like, you have presuppositions, what you were told
Oh yes. So that's the
about the
thing
history and
with
stuff.
um. Let me grab my. Oh, I might have my mic. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing with media. That's the media that's going on in the West. Is more of it is most people are well the government is siding with
Sorry.
there
It's
you
gonna make
go.
noise. I know you're still recording.
Yeah, they're siding with funding Israel, but what's controversial is the people are more so against it, and especially natives, like I mentioned earlier.
The people are. Yeah.
Yeah, so and I kind of see how the media is misconstrued from. Actually, you want to hold it since your arm's pretty.
Since my arm's longer, I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to hold it
you're
and
taller.
look weird.
Yeah, I have the pop socket in the back if you want to.
Yeah, I got it.
So yeah, it's pretty different to see. Main reason why I wanted to come and get the Israeli perspective before I came to before I go into to get the Palestinian
Right.
is because of the mixed media. I want to come here straight from the source and
Yeah.
talk to people like you who are actually smart and know what's going on and are thorough in what they say.
Right.
So yeah,
I mean, one thing you'll see is that in Israel, there's a diverse population of not just Jews. I
yeah,
don't know if you'll be able to talk to other types of people here,
yeah,
but we are all united to some degree. Like the Muslim Israelis and the Arab Israelis are still Israelis, and a lot of them still go to the army, and they're still very supportive of what's going on here.
yeah,
They enjoy a lot more freedom because they can go into the Palestinian areas more freely.
yeah,
They're accepted there and they're accepted here. But at the end of the day, they are Israeli. And on October 7th, you saw it when push comes to shove. Hamas comes in and they didn't care if you were Muslim or Arab. They would still kidnap you and still kill you.
yeah. It's pretty
Yeah.
pretty intense.
So
So
it's definitely a catalyzing event as well. There's a lot more unity and sense of belonging, I think, to Israel now for the Arabs here.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, for the most part, hi. For the most part, as natives, we're not officially and not tribal. Not by the tribal leaders, but by the people and by media. We're siding with like stopping the whole thing,
Stopping the whole thing, yeah.
free Palestine,
Right.
the hashtag, and
Those
they
words to
call it
see.
a genocide,
Yeah, yeah. That's right.
So yeah, because it's pretty intense what's going on the front lines. So yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
is.
so. But the point is to get here, and the main goal is to have all this kind of organized and set up to the native tribes. And right now, I think tribal leaders aren't ready to engage in international affairs. Like for
Right.
example, we're not even in contact with Central or Southern Indigenous Mesoamericans.
Right. You have to
So
have like your internal dialogue as well before
yeah,
you. Right. Yeah.
so it's like
Well.
if we want to make an impact for ourselves, like we have to see what's going on
Yeah.
around us.
Well, it would be a very big mistake to stop things again because it'll just cycle around and happen again.
Yeah,
This has to end. Like it, having a ceasefire is just prolonging the fight for another day.
yeah,
One of the things I also do music, so one of the things I have in one of my songs was peace is not just a lack of war, but war is a lack of peace.
yeah.
So we didn't have peace. Like the fact that there was no fighting doesn't mean there's peace.
I
And
see.
what we need is peace.
Yeah,
And so ending the war prematurely isn't peace. It's just a, a different state of war.
huh.
And yeah, Gaza would just build up again, smuggle in more rockets, um, rebuild themselves and then do the same thing like 10 years, 20 years down the line, which sounds like a faraway thing. It's like, oh, that's a problem for another day. Well, no.
Yeah, it's today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, literally, it's today. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now we have an opportunity to stop it.
Yeah.
Because before this, Israel was very subservient, I guess, to international pressures.
Yeah.
And we knew every time they would have an attack on us, we had a very limited amount of time to respond and to deal with that attack before we would be condemned and forced to stop.
Yeah.
So this time it's an opportunity to not let it happen again, to follow through with it all the way through. And our prime minister is under a lot of heat from even people inside the country. But so far, in terms of actions, he hasn't been giving in to the pressure. He has been staying the course. And he has been, trying to deal with this, trying to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. So
honestly, I think if you want to deal with Iran, the best course of action would be to give the Persian people in Iran weapons. If you can arm the people in Iran, they would just take care of it themselves, and Iran would be gone.
Yeah. It's like the people would unite.
The people are already very anti-regime. They are already organized.
I see.
I think if you were able to smuggle in a whole bunch of weapons into Iran, like the amount that Gaza had, they would be able to take back their country.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
I don't know how the wind would affect your mic.
It should be fine.
Yeah.
There's also like voice enhancers or whatever.
Okay, cool.
Like I'll just get it.
Right.
But yeah, that's one of like the key points, or that's why it's so important. Why I'm here is because, like, the United States has a big impact here.
Right.
We're in the United States as natives.
Right.
So, but right now nobody's officially taking a standpoint, and we're not using our voice. Of course, you want to stay out of it, but what's happening here is affecting everybody in the world. It's just,
right.
So we're just gonna sit from the sidelines and watch, like, that's not, as not just as a people, but as a world, we're supposed to work together, or not supposed to, but it's just, it
would be nice.
That would be nice. So like, it's like that's why I'm here, and
so you notice a very big difference. I don't know, when you start traveling. You'll notice the difference between the Palestinians in Gaza versus the Palestinians in the West Bank.
Okay.
So Israel got Gaza as a land in 1967, and they also got the West Bank in 1967. There was no Palestine there before. In the West Bank was Jordanian, and Israel annexed the land from Jordan. So you'll see that the Palestinians there a lot of them have Jordanian citizenships.
Yeah.
And they have Jordanian dialects.
Yeah. Jordanian.
So like even their Arabic is going to be a little bit different.
Interesting.
And the Palestinians in Gaza were Egyptian. It was under Egyptian rule. And Israel annexed it and the Sinai Peninsula from Egypt. And Israel tried to give the land back to Egypt. They accepted the Sinai Peninsula, but they didn't accept Gaza. And so now Israel was stuck with Gaza, with the Egyptians that were there, quote unquote, that call themselves Palestinians. And they're completely disconnected from Egypt.
I see.
Yeah. And Egypt doesn't want them because they're quite radical. They have a problem in Egypt with Palestinians or the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah.
So they already have a problem with them. So, but you'll see there that they have an Egyptian dialect. Their Arabic is more closely related to Egyptian Arabic.
Interesting. Got to stand over here so you can switch. But
yeah.
And what's even more interesting is that this is a conflict that's been going on for millenniums, like thousands of years.
For thousands of years?
Yeah, or from, how would you say it? Because the story starts 3,000 years ago-ish, but how would you say that kind of plays a part?
I mean, you can look at the, I don't know if you've done homework on this, but you can look at the population in Israel, the demographics in Israel over the past 2,000 years. You'll see that there was a boom here when Jews started returning. A lot of our holy sites we weren't allowed to go visit for a long time, especially when Jordan ruled. Before Israel was here, there was the Ottoman Empire that was ruling, and they even did genocide against the. Talking about genocide, it was an Armenian genocide. There was a huge Armenian population here that got wiped out by the Ottomans.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of why this is why I kind of came here, because like the whole like having somebody, a different nation, roll over you and like seeing
Right.
how that plays a part. Because
Yeah.
back home,
But there was never like a nation here. It was always an outside group ruling here. Yeah.
I see. I see. Yeah, so that's
This is really the first government that's been here since 2,000 years.
interesting.
But yeah, so when we had the population booms here, then a lot of peoples from all around the area started gathering here.
I see. Oh. Yeah. Well, hey, we're at the beach.
Yeah, right.
It's a nice view.
Sunset.
Yeah.
Mediterranean. Have you been in the water?
No, I saw it this morning though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
You have a bathing suit here?
I just bought this
Nice.
3 hours ago. So
Sweet.
So yeah, I'll go in before I head out east. So yeah. Well, what's cool is that I didn't even know you were from here, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my brother hit up. He was like, "Oh yeah, Binyamin's from there." I was like, "Oh, the cool
Yeah.
ISTP guy from OPS."
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's good you reached out to me for sure.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Dave and Shan, then I'd have never known about this, and we wouldn't be
Right.
here. So, shout out to Dave and Shan. So,
There you go. Shout out to David Chan.
yeah. Jedi Masters.
And the internet.
Yes.
Right.
So kind of just so for when I head to East, is there like, do Palestinians kind of speak English too, or is it like
Some of them,
okay.
they might be a little bit aggressive if you're videoing them without their permission, obviously.
Okay. I'll note that.
Also, if they're like, if you see women, it's probably not a good idea to approach women.
Okay.
Yeah.
Duly noted.
You can try. If they're alone, you can try and see if they'll agree to it.
Oh.
Um,
Okay.
there's a channel called a YouTube channel called Talking to. It's like, I'll send it to you. Corey Schuler or something like that. He goes around. You can see some of his videos. He goes around Palestinian areas talking to people, and you'll see that he's able to interact with them and talk to a few of them. He has an interpreter a lot of the time, someone who speaks Arabic and English.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, so you've spoken with him personally? He's around here?
No, I haven't spoken to him personally, no, but he's got a channel.
Cool.
I can send it to you. So
Nice.
you kind of know what to expect.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
But Jerusalem, it's a good place to visit. Go to the old city. And there's lots of Palestinians in East Jerusalem. If you want to go talk to them there.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love to go to like right where it's at, like Gaza, but it's
Yeah,
like,
I know.
It's that's the reason why I have, especially with a U.S. passport. So
Right.
that's why I came out here, is to look within Israel to see what's going on and relay that to the people
Right.
and
Yeah. Cool.
yeah. What made you think I was feminine DE?
You're not aggressive. You think people are friendly. You think I'm friendly. You just assume that I was friendly.
That's
Yeah.
yeah. That's very sure. Do you have any other guesses on my type, or what do you think? What would you type me as? Or?
I think, yeah, feminine sensory might also make sense. That would make you double feminine. That's
Okay.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
And Not play last.
Not play last.
Yeah,
Nice.
my guess.
Cool.
What do you think?
What my type is. So my brother and I typed, like I said, each other and ourselves.
Right.
Um, Audio,
Audio. Okay.
INFP,
INFP.
number one, consume, sleep, blast, play last.
Consume. Okay, you thought play last.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So one day I'll have Dave and Shane type.
I was thinking you might be an IP as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one day I'll have Dave and Shane type me personally and an
Both of
Angel.
you. Yeah. Yeah.
But the goal is to get a big social media presence to where they'll type us. So.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, that's so Dave and
Nice.
Shane, I'm calling you out.
Nice.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm kind of glad it's really interesting how there's all that going on around Israel, but here it's really nice in Tel
Yeah.
Aviv. You know,
Yeah. In
so,
Tel Aviv, it's
yeah,
this is the place they aim their rockets at.
I see.
They try to hit Tel Aviv. Yeah.
It seems in
So where I'm from in the south, there's almost no more rockets. Gaza's been completely dismantled, but for 15 years there have been rockets a lot.
interesting.
Yeah. On October 7th, my kids were sleeping, and sirens, rockets, all that kind of stuff, and they were
Wow.
just sleeping right through it because they're just so used to it.
Wow, that's any of them ever hit where you're at, or
Close by and stuff. Yeah. We're lucky that we have the Iron Dome as well to stop most of them, and it's like winning the lottery, but you don't want to win it. It's probably very rare that they'll actually hit you, but they'll hit somebody. Like someone has to win the lottery.
Yeah,
But yeah.
yeah, I heard of that. The Iron Dome, that whole thing is very like extreme technology, like how they're able to defend.
Right, and missile defense.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah, I mean, so one of the benefits that the United States gets out of funding Israel is joint technology like that. So I know Trump wants to install the Iron Dome or other types of missile defense all over the U.S. because today, if people started sending missiles into the U.S., you don't really have much defense.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of a danger that is, of how if people will actually try that, but it's defense is probably the better offense. Like you saw when Iran tried to attack Israel, they sent a whole bunch of rockets and missiles and all that kind of stuff, and nothing, absolutely nothing. And then when Israel went to retaliate, all it really took was like just a little bit to get in. Like it wasn't hard. Like their message was very powerful in the fact that it was one message and it wasn't stopped. And they had hundreds of messages coming over and they were all stopped. So
yeah,
war is different today from back when you were fighting other tribes in the Americas.
very much so.
Right. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. See, that's just crazy to think of, just like sleeping through the sirens.
Yeah.
That's huge. Yeah. So yeah, yeah. Well, I guess that's
We'll wrap it up.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Shake your hand.
yeah.
Thanks for coming in the shout out and
thank you for the interview.
Yeah.
We'll see you all around. I'll be heading east tomorrow, and hello to the OPS community and Dave and Shan. You'll be seeing a lot more of me, and of course Binyamin, the main man. So yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Let's keep going.
thanks for watching, guys.